Indian Wells 2025 is officially underway, and the big story right now is Naomi Osaka, the 2018 champion, falling in round one in straight sets to Camila Osorio. Osaka called it the worst match of her career, and it has me wondering whether fans should be concerned about the former world number one's future. Also, a few of the top players spoke to the press for Media Day recently, sharing their thoughts on the new surface change at Indian Wells. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff gave an interesting comment about her interesting recent results. Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more Indian Wells updates like this. So yes, Naomi Osaka, she bowed out in the opening round of the BNP Paribas Open for the very first time in her career, falling to Camila Osorio 6-4, 6-4. And this is the first time in history that a Colombian woman has defeated a former world number one. I gotta give credit to Camila. She played a great match for sure for her standards. And it was just a tactically smart performance from her. And I knew that this was going to be a little bit of a tough match for Naomi, even though she was such the overwhelming favorite. And it's interesting because Osorio is actually ranked higher than Osaka is. Indian Wells, the courts there definitely they play slower, and Camila is a very consistent baseliner. And she does not have too much firepower behind her, but she can extract a lot of errors, especially with her movement, just her being able to get so many balls back in play and extract the errors she did against Osaka, who committed 50 unforced errors to just 21 winners. Osorio is also very crafty, and she got Naomi good a few times with those slices and drop shots, just catching her off guard. Naomi, of course, she is still coming back from an ab injury she's been dealing with on and off. Of course, that first kind of came up in Auckland when she was forced to retire after winning the first set during the final, and then at the Australian Open, she was forced to kind of pull the plug during her third round match against Belinda Bencic. I noticed in this match the serve wasn't quite as potent as it normally was, or just wasn't as consistent as it normally was. And Naomi said in her press conference that she's not injured, but I do wonder if she's actually like 100% healthy in that regard. Naomi talked quite a bit about her serve in the press conference, but her return I think was definitely the bigger issue. Osaka made no inroads in the weaker Osorio serve, and Camila, she cruised through many of her service games, which was shocking because she doesn't have a big, strong serve. It was no reason for Naomi to not have broken Osorio's serve a lot in this match. And I was waiting for Naomi to actually crack the code and turn things around, but it just never came. She saved a match point when she tried to serve to stay in it at 3-5, and then she had a love 40 look in that 4-5 game, and she had 4 break points total in this game, the final game of the match, but the errors just did her in again. It was kind of shocking how she wasn't able to capitalize, and it just seems to be mostly mental. The question is, should Naomi fans be concerned right now? I feel like there's a yes and a no. Both answers kind of apply. First, looking at the glass half full perspective, Naomi, she looked very fit out there and her movement was excellent. She tracked down a good number of those Osorio drop shots, and I feel like this is the fittest that she has looked since 2020. So those are great signs that I think she's in near peak physical fitness form in that regard. This is also Naomi's first tournament back since the Australian Open, so it's not surprising that there was a little bit of rust, and I think that it could take her some time for her to fully get her groove back and play like how she was in Melbourne. The serve definitely was not the strongest too, and Osaka said herself that given the situation of her coming back from the ab injury, it wasn't terrible. And we can't forget that Naomi was playing great tennis since working with Patrick, and before today she had never lost a completed match when he was her coach. Now, looking at more of like the worrying negative aspects of it, of course, it's the health. The injury, it still seems to be bothering her a little bit at times. Again, I personally don't think that she's 100% healthy, and I feel like this might be a more serious ongoing injury than it might seem at first. I don't think the loss in itself, the result in itself is bad, all things considered, with her coming back from injury. Like, it's not terrible. However, just mentally, I'm wondering how much more can Naomi take, really. She hasn't really had that big, strong breakthrough result since coming back from maternity leave at the start of 2024. And again, it's just constantly like one step forward, 2 steps back with her. At first, it was the Roland Garros 2024 match point against Iga in the second round. She ended up losing that match. And then she played excellent tennis in Beijing, was close to beating the eventual champion Coco Gauff, but she got injured and she had to retire from that match. Then she was close really to winning her first title in like 4 years in Auckland, but she got injured and was unable to continue after winning the opening set over Clara Towson. And then same thing at the Australian Open. She made the third round after getting that really great win over Karolina Muchova, but wasn't able to continue against Belinda Bencic in that third round. And Naomi, she constantly tries to stay positive on social media and like tries to find the light in every situation, but she was pretty negative after her match. And she posted on Threads, "Worst match I've ever played in my life. Wow, I'm so sorry to everyone who watched that." Now, I know a few people kind of was like, "Oh, that's not great. That's kind of poor form, disrespectful to Osorio." And, you know, maybe, but it's on the flip side, it's good to see Naomi kind of show her raw feelings out there. I am worried again that she might become too mentally scarred from all the setbacks that she has faced to make more significant progress in this comeback. Tennis, it can break even the most mentally tough out there. It's such a tough sport. And the comeback, again, hasn't been a failure by any means, but I'm sure that Naomi would have hoped to have better results at this point. And it's either tough draws, injuries, or just poor form, and Naomi being error prone. She can't really have a good, consistent stretch of just having great standout results. Naomi has been involved in an interesting cycle, as noted by Check for Rain on Twitter, where she looks a little bit shaky in form and then she looks good and gives fans a hope of a title run before getting injured, and that stalling her process, and then we're right back at square one. Osaka said in the press that it's hard for her knowing that she could have gone deep at the Australian Open and then having to get back in the repetition of rehabbing and trying to prepare to get strong for tournaments again, and then ultimately not doing as well. She said it sucks, but she's also used to it from that happening to her all the time last year. At this point, I really don't know what the future holds for Naomi. I know I said this a long time ago, but I'm still working on a kind of a deep dive video into Osaka in this recent comeback, so please stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I just hope that she can get those results that she is seeking soon and maybe have a good run at the Miami Open. Now, day one honestly was pretty mid. You know, the stars, of course, weren't out there and there just weren't many great matches, but one result that stood out to me was definitely 20-year-old American Robin Montgomery. She hadn't played since the Australian Open qualifying. She made the semifinals in Auckland, and she's back. She recovered from 3-6, 2-5 down against Julie Niemeyer to then come out on top with a 3-6, 7-5, 6-2 win. And it was really just an incredible display of mental fortitude from the young American, because she was down a double break deficit in that second set, and she ended up reeling off the last 5 games of the match. So kudos to her. She's now on the brink of cracking the top 100. I believe she is 103 in the WTA Live rankings. So I think wins like these will be huge for her and giving her the confidence to pick up even greater wins down the road. And she plays 18th seed Marta Kostyuk next. I definitely think, regardless of what happens in this next match, Montgomery's future is bright, and she's going to be for sure a player that y'all need to keep an eye out on for the remainder of this year. Now, looking at some other results, fellow former JTCC trainee Haley Baptiste also progressed to round 2 after she dispatched of her good friend Whitney Osigwe 6-1, 6-2. Petra Kvitova played her second match since coming back from maternity leave, and unfortunately she suffered another tight 3-set loss. The two-time Wimbledon champion fell to Varvara Gracheva 4-6, 6-3, 6-4. She'll try to get that first comeback win in Miami, where she received a wild card, and she's also the champion there from 2 years ago. Now, a mother who did progress to round 2 in tennis paradise was Victoria Azarenka. She defeated 18-year-old American Claire Vigounoux 6-4, 7-6. This was a great effort from the 2023 Wimbledon Girls Champion Vigounoux for not only qualifying for her first WTA 1000 main draw tournament, but to push Vika like she did. Especially, she didn't start as strong, went down an early double break, 1-4 in the opening set, but she made it a lot more competitive, and she pushed Vika to the end. She came close to really taking the second set and pushing it to a decider. You never know what could have happened there. But regardless, I think this was a great experience for Claire V to have a competitive match with a top 50 player like Azarenka. She's still looking for her maiden WTA main draw win, but I'm sure it'll come sooner rather than later. And then transitioning to talking about some men's results, this was a good day for college men's tennis. Aside from TCU alum Cam Norrie earning a comfortable 11-3 win over Djokovic Slayer from last year, Luca Nardi, Colton Smith, the American ranked 262nd, earned his first ATP Tour main draw win, taking down world number 40 Flavio Cobolli 3-6, 6-2, 6-2. Smith is currently a senior competing at the University of Arizona. Although with results like this, Colton might need to go ahead and turn pro. Christian Boyer, who formerly played for Stanford, earned his second career tour level main draw win after he defeated Alexander Vukic 7-6 in the third set. Results aside, one of the biggest stories of this tournament thus far has been Indian Wells doing away with its plexi-paved courts in favor of lake-hold courts. Lake-hold provides the surfaces at the Miami Open, Cincinnati Open, and the US Open, which definitely play faster than Indian Wells. So some anticipated for the notoriously slow courts here at Indian Wells to be a bit faster and lower bouncing. And some of the top players have chimed in on their thoughts on the new surface change, and the reviews are definitely kind of mixed. 2023 finalist Aryna Sabalenka said that she loves the new courts. They're a little bit faster, which is good for me, right? She said, no, but it feels good. Feels good so far. I'll tell you later after my first match. I hope I'll still like it. 2023 champion Elena Rybakina said, I feel that it's not much faster, but I will say maybe the bounce is a little bit lower. The past few days were very windy and a lot of sun came, so it's also a little bit different, the bounce is, but I think the court is still nice. Defending champion Iga Świątek said that she doesn't feel much difference, and the same thing with top seed Alexander Zverev. Daniil Medvedev, meanwhile, said they seem to be almost slower than before, pretty slow. I don't know what other players think, but yeah, I played 2 days on it and they seemed very, very slow. So let's see how it plays during the tournament. We're definitely going to have to wait until more of these top players compete to get a true, more consistent answer on how the courts actually play. And I still think regardless, it's going to be a little bit more dependent on the player, whether it's slower or faster or not. I don't know. Now, third seed Coco Gauff was not asked about the court changes in her media day press conference, but she was asked about her rather up and down season thus far, which saw her start very, very strong in winning the United Cup title for Team USA before tailing off a little bit in Melbourne and then losing her opening round matches in Doha and Dubai. Coco is aware of the chatter about her results, but she's not letting that get her down.
I don't know. Everybody makes a bigger deal what it is. I lost 2 matches. I'll lose more matches back to back. It's gonna happen. Everyone's like, "Oh, she's thinking like, okay, we've been through this. I'll pick it back up." Yeah. So to me, it's I guess it feels like a month, but it's just 2 tournaments, and at this calendar, I have so many other opportunities, and I can't win every match. And yeah, it is a tough part of the swing for me. Just I think mainly because the conditions I don't think are in my favor. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, I was upset that I lost, but I mean, it's a loss. Like, it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna lose back to back again, and hopefully, it doesn't happen too many times in my career. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you just move on, get better, and the results will come. And it's just normal, I think. And I'm only 20 years old, going to be 21 next week, so it'll be kind of silly for me to think that it won't happen again if I'm going to be out here, hopefully, at least 10 more years.
I think this is a perfect response from Coco. Of course, it's always great to stay positive, and I'm just very intrigued to see how she does in the desert. As I mentioned in my preview, the draw is not easy at all for her, so it'll be a good test for sure. That is all I have for this Indian Wells Day 1 update video. I know it's very brief. Let me know your thoughts on what I discussed. Do you think that Naomi will eventually break through and have greater results, or will these obstacles be too much for her to overcome? Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more Indian Wells updates throughout this fortnight. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.